Yeah, exactly. And I think that why it's frustrating to listen to people like Tucker Carlson is because they're identifying, like, actual problems. Like, the decline of community in America is an actual problem. It's been identified by sociologists for, like, 60 plus years. But it's just that his solution is entirely wrong. And, he praises people like AOC. He says she's nuts, but, she has a point about, markets and capitalism and things like that.
Oh, my gosh.
But I don't think that people like AOC or Bernie Sanders are going to be any help to fixing the problem that Tucker Carlson says he actually cares about, which is community and family, all these big government policies that if he's not openly advocating for, he's just kind of friendly to and saying, well, we need to think of something, markets aren't a god kind of thing, isn't going to actually get what he wants in the end. It's going to make everything worse.
Well, isn't it fair to point out, Zach Yost, who wrote the amazing piece that we were talking about a couple of weeks back about capitalism isn't the problem, we are, that creating this idea that the state will provide almost unplugs us from the need to look at our neighbors and say, hey, do you need a hand? Hey, you looking for work? Any of those things, because we're just, we put blinders on and take the easy way out. Oh, the government will figure it out at some point. If I got that as a subtext of what your piece was about, am I mischaracterizing it?
No, that's spot on, and it's been identified. There's a really great mid-century sociologist named Frank Tannenbaum, and in a really important essay called "The Balance of Power in Society," he points out that there are all these innate institutions that humans just have because they fulfill certain functions we need in our lives, and he identifies the four main ones as family, church, the state, and the economy. And he says that these four are always in tension. There's always, in each institution's object, they're kind of totalizing. And we see in history time periods where one institution or the other assumes a lot of power. But whenever it does so, it ends up taking away the power of the other institutions. And so when we want a really powerful state to take care of people and, to provide for people, that takes away from the function of the church and the family, and they become less powerful. And in the end, it just breeds, it prepares the ground for more conflict, because people start to fear whatever institution has all the power. And like, if I'm not in control of that institution, then it can be used against me. And we see kind of the state has that role now, and people, every election is the most important election ever, people tell us. And it's because of this fear that the state has all this power that was formerly held by the community and family and churches.
Zach, we have to run up on a break. Can I hold on to you through the break? I don't know what your morning schedule is, but we miss the fact that there are really poor people and there are poor communities, and that needs to be addressed. And I think it's one of the things that made President Trump's campaign in 2016 successful was that he was not afraid to admit that there were really poor people who needed better opportunities in their community. And conservatives just ignore that sometimes because I guess they don't want to get cornered into seeming like they're defending some big rich guy who owns Walmart or whatever it may be, missing the fact that these people provide a benefit to the community and give us the opportunity to do the things that, whether it be volunteering at a soup kitchen or just, helping your neighbors cut their grass. That's where it's supposed to come down to. What do you think is at the root of all that?
Well, I think at the root of a kind of a lot of hate towards big companies and things like that is just a misunderstanding of how markets work in the first place. A real phrase you hear is, XYZ big company, they need to give back. Those rich people, they need to give back to the community. Kind of implying, they took something from it in order to become rich.
Yeah, true.
But if we're going to demand, that, like someone like Steve Jobs, it's like, back in the day. There was a lot of controversy because Steve Jobs didn't join something where he was going to give away, almost all his money and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
If people say, Steve Jobs, he needs to give back, then I say, well, are you going to give back, half of your iPhone? Because people seem to miss that people become rich in an actual market as opposed to kind of a cronyism system.
Mm-hmm.
They become rich by giving people what they want. And so you may exchange your money
right.
for, groceries at Walmart or a computer at Best Buy or whatever. By doing so, you're indicating that you actually use the computer or whatever else more.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a two-way street. And the people who are most successful in a free market system are the people who have given people what they want in the best and efficient manner. So it kind of is a pretty unfair deal for the people who are doing a great job of getting us what we want.
I was in 2012 here doing the radio